There are soldiers from Lithuania, there's some others from Germany as well, but look what they have tucked into their pockets. They have little American flags just below the flag of their own countries, sewn onto their sleeves. In the capital city of Lithuania yesterday, thousands of soldiers and dignitaries, and also just ordinary people, lined up in the streets to pay their respects and to honor 4 American soldiers who died in Lithuania this past week during a training exercise. The ceremony was attended by the president of Lithuania, who gave a speech on the occasion. He said that for Lithuanians, serving your country is not just a duty, but an emotion. And you could really see that among the people who gathered. Lithuanian citizens were moved to tears, moved to genuine grief. But again, this was a ceremony for Americans, for American soldiers. Officials arranged for an archbishop to bless the motorcade before it drove to the airport to start the process of returning those remains, returning those soldiers to the U.S. In our country, of course, it is a sacred tradition that when members of the armed services die in the line of duty overseas, their remains come home to the U.S. on what's called a dignified transfer. Their remains are flown home specifically to Dover Air Base with American flags draped over the coffins. It's a very somber, very important, very serious, very specific ceremony. And a dignified transfer is often attended by the President of the United States as a sign of respect from the Commander-in-Chief. After that very moving send-off from Lithuania and from the government and the people of Lithuania, the White House announced here in the United States that when those 4 young fallen American soldiers landed back home here in the U.S., President Donald Trump would not attend the dignified transfer. He would not be waiting at Dover to pay respects to the service members who died, even as Lithuania's president made sure he was there to see them off. Donald Trump has decided instead that he's going to Florida to watch a golf tournament and to go to a golf dinner tonight. You know, given his previous comments, I guess you could say this is consistent with his apparent level of investment on this issue. I gotta tell you, we do not play a lot of tape of Donald Trump talking on this show. We sort of it's not a hard and fast rule, but kind of a rule of thumb on this show is that we try to cover what the president does rather than just what he says. He gets plenty of coverage for what he says. I prefer to focus on actions rather than his words. In this case, though, I'm going to make a little bit of an exception. I think what he said here is its own kind of action. I just want you to see it. It's very brief. This is how Donald Trump, President of the United States, responded when he was asked about the service members in Lithuania after they were first went missing.
Have you been briefed about the soldiers in Lithuania who are missing?
No, I haven't.
Nope. What was it again that the Lithuanian president said about service? He said, for us, it is more than a duty, it is an emotion. For Donald Trump, it was, no, haven't heard anything about it. Next question. This, of course, all happens as Donald Trump has inexplicably fired the top 2 officials at the National Security Agency, the NSA, including the leader of the NSA is also the leader of Cyber Command, so that means he's also fired the head of Cyber Command. He also has fired 6 different people from the National Security Council, all reportedly on the basis of allegations made by a far-right conspiracy theorist. She is a 9/11 conspiracy theorist and also claims that multiple school shootings in our country were staged and weren't real. On her recommendation, he has fired a half dozen people from the National Security Council and the head of the NSA. Joining us now is Senator Mark Kelly, Democrat from Arizona, member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senate is in the middle of marathon votes right now. He has kindly made time to join us from the Capitol Rotunda. Senator Kelly, I really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on, Rachel.
I wanted to ask your reaction to President Trump's decision to skip the dignified transfer. I mean, presidents don't always go to these ceremonies, let's be clear. Presidents in every administration have missed some of these. Donald Trump went to very few of these in his first term. Tonight he's at a golf dinner in Florida.
Yeah, I think you do not want to get between Donald Trump and a golf tournament or the first tee. He puts that at a very high premium on his schedule. I think, what he said in the Oval Office about these missing soldiers just showed a total lack of empathy. And you're right, he's consistent. And this is a guy who, during his first term, called lost dead Marines who died at Belleau Woods suckers and losers. So we shouldn't be surprised.
The president reportedly fired 6 people off the National Security Council, and the director of the NSA and director of Cyber Command, as well as the deputy director of NSA, or she at least has been moved to another position. He was reportedly advised by a right-wing conspiracy theorist to do this. She seems to have come in alone with her own theories about why all these people should go, and the president acted on those theories and fired them. What do you think we should know about the impact of those firings, and what you think about the means by which they were carried out?
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have an internet troll be in the White House's HR department, right? I mean, here's a person that clearly does not have the background and the knowledge and the information to make hiring and firing decisions in the White House, especially these kind of decisions. I knew General Hawk, the head of the NSA and Cyber Command, really, really well. He was doing an excellent job. He did not deserve to be fired. I mean, he's the kind of guy you want to keep in a position like this. And when you consider what has happened with the sharing of classified and sensitive information from the Secretary of Defense, the person the president should have fired was Pete Hegseth, who is totally unqualified for this job. So here's another example of where he keeps somebody in a position they shouldn't have, and that's putting us at risk. And then he fires the guy we really need in the job. And when you consider the role of the NSA and Cyber Command, it is, I almost can't think of a position that's more important. And on the function of those two organizations, I've noticed that it doesn't seem the White House places a lot of value in this. The president has said previously that he wants to take away some authorities that the NSA has to collect information on our foreign adversaries. So on this topic of NSA Cyber Command and personnel within our intelligence and defense communities, the president has it wrong.
Senator, we've had 2 remarkable days in the stock markets since President Trump announced his new tariff policy a couple of days ago, and it's historic simply in terms of the sort of size of the cataclysm in the markets. There is fear and trepidation and something approaching panic in business communities of all sizes, coast to coast, as American businesses try to figure out how they're going to contend with the new reality or whatever this new horizon is in terms of these tariffs. What do you think the impact will be in Washington to the disaster in the markets and the freak out in every state in the union as the American people contend with what this means for businesses and what it means for the price of living in this country?
Well, the price of living and the price of things is clearly going to go up. What I hope happens is my Republican colleagues in the Senate, but also in the House, get off the sidelines and call this for what it is. This is a really bad idea. But Rachel, I mean, as you pointed out, I mean, this is not surprising, right? Here's a guy who told Americans to inject bleach into their bodies, who sent a mob to Capitol Hill. And now I think it's fair to say that he stands out as single-handedly destroying more wealth with his bad decisions than anybody else that has ever lived on this planet. I can't think of another person. In a couple days, he has eliminated trillions of dollars. These are in people's 401ks. And this results in folks will lose their jobs because of this. Companies will have to restructure. People will be out of work. They're not going to be able to put food on the table. They're going to lose their homes. All because Donald Trump, as you pointed out, is listening to an economist that doesn't even exist, that Peter Navarro actually made up. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I've been looking for a real economist that says this is a good idea. I can't find one. The only people that say this is a good idea work directly for Donald Trump.
Yeah. I just keep thinking about $6 trillion and how much of an NIH that could fund. You know, what that
Right.
could do for Social Security, what that could do. Well, how many park rangers we'd be talking about? It's just.
Or you could actually
yeah.
cure childhood cancer, which is a
Yeah.
thing he said he wanted to do. But instead,
Yeah.
he cut money to NIH, the organization that would do that.
Senator Mark Kelly, I know tonight is a work night for you and all your fellow senators in the Capitol. Thank you so much for squeezing in some time for us to talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, much more to come here tonight. Stay with us.